Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV2. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Rangers manager Pedro Caixinha says he's had a positive response after blasting his players. Ray McKinnon backs McIntyre and Houston for quick return. Harry Kane, the golden boy of English football. Yes, just a few of the points we will be discussing tonight. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin, and we mentioned him on yesterday's show, and I thought to myself, I haven't seen him in a while. It's time to get our world record holder, 23 clubs he's played for, and nobody has beaten him on the show. We're absolutely delighted to have Chic Charnley with us. And the good thing about it is, Ruffy, you never forget your friends, which is why we always have to stay in touch with him.
Yeah, and he's always available at short notice. And,
could he get him else?
I mean, I know you tried to get 5 or 6 other people. But
Talk about rattling his confidence. He's low at the moment anyway. Listen, we're delighted to have you, Chic. It was actually yesterday I was thinking about you just as we were talking to Ian Ferguson, who thought he had a lot of clubs, and I thought, wait till you hear Chic's. So, lots to talk about. Let's look at the back pages of the papers first of all to see what occupied most people's thoughts. Meltdown, again, talk of the dressing room bust-up, and also Anderlecht apparently on £35,000 to £40,000 a man, depending on which tabloid you favour. The Sun, for club and country, Rogers saying here it's all about the prestige of Celtic doing well in the Champions League, and there in the Sun it's 40,000 for a win apparently in the Sun. And in the Daily Mail, big picture of Harry Kane there, scored a hat-trick last night in the Champions League. We'll be discussing last night's results as well. And of course, no real point in discussing the Celtic game in any great depth because we're only maybe about 10 minutes away from it kicking off. This is the big one for them, and listen, when you get to a situation where Anderlecht are being offered apparently £35,000 to £40,000 a man to win, that tells you how desperate they are to get third place.
yeah, but it wouldn't have been motivation for us, would it?
Ain't what of me.
Can I just say, if Chic had been offered £30,000 to £40,000, he'd have been doing keepy up his nutmegs and firing it from 40 yards.
You wouldn't have seen me for a month.
No, but it just shows you how important it is, the money that's available, you know, in this competition, and they've identified that. I'm sure Celtic boys, if they qualify, they'll be on a reasonable amount as well. But the money shouldn't be the motivation. It should be trying to get into Europe, whatever stage that you're trying to get into. But I think this is a big night. It's a big night for Celtic. The Celtic have to go there and prove that they have improved in Europe against teams like Anderlecht, the style of football. And we saw in glimpses with Celtic that they're good in possession. They're quite happy to play the ball about. I think you said the other day that they'd won some possession competition.
Right across Europe, they are the team who's got the most possession in games in their league.
Yeah, I would like to see the possession in the other team's half. You know, you can have possession of your own half without doing any damage, but you know, that's what they have to do tonight. They have to keep control of the game and take whatever chances come along. I
mean, in your day, was there a huge bonus on offer for any particular game, Chic?
I think the one I remember most was Hibs when the playoff against Airdrie. I think it was a couple of grand, but which was still good money. But they'll recoup that. Obviously, Anderlecht, if they win, they'll recoup it in the later stages. But John Lambie used to do one with us. He used to tell us the bonus to after the game, and then if you get beat, he would say, you were on this and that. Pure farcical.
Yeah, to demoralise you.
He'd just tell you after the game, he said, and if you win, he said, you're on £500 or something like that. All wide though.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange actually. We were talking, yesterday's guest Ian Ferguson said that Dundee United, it was a basic, which wasn't great, but the bonuses were phenomenal. And that really incentivised the players.
I remember when I first started with St Mirren when I was 19, made my debut, and we were on, it was only 2 points then, it was £160 a point. You know what I mean? That was about 30 years ago or something like that. No, I mean, that was great money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when I disappeared again. 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely, because you knew there was potentially a move on somewhere. Here's a look at what's on offer as far as the fixtures are concerned tonight. Of course, we mentioned that Celtic are in Belgium, PSG at home to Bayern Munich. That could be a cracker and a real indication of where these two powerhouses are as far as the latter stages potentially of the tournament. FC Basel against Benfica, CSKA Moscow against Manchester United. And in Group C and D, what's on offer tonight? We've got Karabag Roma, Atletico Madrid against Chelsea, Juventus against Olympiacos, Sporting Lisbon against Barcelona. And that Atletico Madrid-Chelsea match, if anything, Ruffy, just highlights the nature of football now, when a player can actually dig his heels in, stomp off to South America, refuse to come back until he gets his move to Atletico Madrid. I mean, Diego Costa wasn't my cup of tea as a player, you know, as far as, you know, the whole package. I thought he was a great goal scorer, but I didn't. He wasn't my type of player.
No, I think initially when he came in, I think we were all enjoying the goals that he was scoring, you know, and his style of play, which was more a robust game, you know, which suited the English Premiership, because, I mean, centre-halves down there don't like getting knocked about, and he was quite happy to take whatever he got. But I think eventually, as it went on, it doesn't matter what club you're at, if it's Chelsea, Partick Thistle, Hibs, if you've got a bad apple in the dressing room and he's going about causing absolute mayhem, you don't want him there. You know, you want him out the door. And as the months went on, it was becoming more and more evident that Conte didn't want him there. So you're right, you know, I think the player worked the deal and he got the move that he wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at what happened last night in the Champions League. There were some tasty results and some great goals. Seville defeated Maribor. I decided to watch Spartak Moscow against Liverpool, and Liverpool's failings at the back end again haunting them in that game where they could have had all 3 points easily. Group F, it was Man City again comfortable against Shakhtar Donetsk, and Napoli were great to watch against Feyenoord from the highlights. Elsewhere, Besiktas will be happy with their win over Leipzig. And what happens when you sell £300 million worth of players? You get cuffed at home, with Porto defeating Monaco 3-0. And Apoel Nicosia threatened early on, but when Tottenham have Harry Kane in form, that's what can happen. A hat-trick for Kane, 3-0 win for Tottenham away. And Borussia Dortmund won Real Madrid 3. So I'm looking at some of those results. And Apoel 0, Tottenham 3, Kane, right foot, left foot, header.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, separate football isn't up there with the rest of them. You know, you would expect them to go there, you know, and get a result. But obviously, Harry Kane's in great form just now, and fantastic goals that he scored. And you're right, you know, when you've got somebody like that in your side who can come up with these special goals, you've always got a chance. You've got to have somebody like that in the European football, because sometimes you struggle a wee bit against smaller clubs, but when you get a big player gets a chance, he takes it. Here's
my problem with this whole situation. I think he's a wonderful player. You know, you never really know the type of person. You get little snatches in interviews, Chic. He seems a well-grounded lad, but I get the feeling that the English press are building him up to be this world-class player well ahead of time before they actually annihilate him.
I think everybody I've spoke to who knows the guy says he's a really good guy, but I think he'll get a massive move. I mean, I think he's really top draw. I mean, you're seeing the press build him up and they're going to come down, but I think he'll get a big move, bigger office in Tottenham.
Yeah, when you say big move, do you think he's a kind of a Real Madrid Barcelona, or do you think that level?
Yeah, I do. I've watched him for a few years, and I really think he can go that far. Yeah, I think he's magnificent.
Yeah, Ruffy? I mean, I look at him and I think for me, he looks like your stereotypical Bayern Munich player.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you judge him, obviously, in last night's game, but you do start to judge him when he plays the likes of these teams, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and if he becomes a star man, does something special, then that's when he'll get identified, you know, to be part of their clubs. But I think you have to do it in a massive stage before they want you. I mean, there's Coutinho, you know, look what he's done in the English Premiership, and they've identified that he's another 100 million plus player. So I think he has to do it in a bigger stage.
Yeah,
it's just sorry, Peter. It's just the different type of goals he scores. He can score all sorts of goals. You know what I mean? He just right foot, left foot, as you say. You know what I mean? I think he's just brilliant.
Here's the problem with it, though, Chic. World Cup coming up. Suddenly, you know, you look back at the last great generation. You look back at Rooney, everybody talking about him, thinking he's going to win the World Cup or the European Championships single-handedly, falls flat in his face, injuries curtail him as well. This guy will have to score regularly before anybody's satisfied down there.
Well, England is England, isn't it? They always seem to fail. But as I say, I think he's one of the top players in the world just now.
Yeah, do you rate him that highly?
Oh, I think at this precise moment in time, you know, we even saw him in the Scotland game. I didn't think he was in the game much, but he has the ability to come up with the crucial goal at the end, and that's what these big clubs are looking for.
Yeah. Where we were positioned, Ruffy, on that track, I still feel as if you and I should have tackled him because we were close enough to
Well, I was going to come for the cross, and then you were going to pick him up at the back post.
That was only because, yet again, Craig Gordon, everybody I meet says, why didn't he smash him and the ball into Rose Ed? Of course, something else happened at that Scotland-England game that not too many people know about, but Chic Charnley is going to tell us about it after this break because it's something that not even Ruffy was aware of, but he's got an eagle eye, Charnley. You can find out after the break. You should have stuck with that, Chic. You had that in the bag there. You would have had the first point of the quiz. 1960. Okay, before we talk about the other results from last night, every time I hear you talking about that Scotland-England game, you know, the pain of that goal that we're talking about that Harry Kane scored. Of course, Chic noticed something else because he actually sent me a text because he was in the crowd that day, and you noticed something that not many normal pundits get, but there was a fair bit of attention on one of the pundits.
Yeah, we were sitting, me and my son, Raphael, were 5 rows from the front, just behind you, and I waved over and I saw Ruffy getting his hair done and his makeup done, and the girl was messing about with his hair and for quite a long length of time.
Yeah, you were raging about that, weren't you, Ruffy?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I should have went for a haircut before it. And, it just so happened I was at the end, so I was getting the wind coming off the wee gap in the stand, it was getting blown on. The girl obviously thought that was annoying me, and she kept running forward with hair lacquer and spraying, and I kept saying, just leave it.
See, that game, me and my son, we left 10 minutes to go.
What?
I know. And we're going out the ground, because the atmosphere then was brilliant, as you know, and we left. We're going out to get a flyer to get away, and we're outside the ground, and Joe McBride's son was there, young Joe.
Yeah.
We were there with his son, and we just go out and we heard the roar, and we said, so I give Joe a lift, and then there were 3 big bears just next to us, and then the second goal went in. We missed that obviously as well, and one of the guys said to the other 2 guys, we never left. When we get back to this pub, we never left.
But it just shows you how important that game.
Oh,
that goal,
that's right.
Yeah.
No, that goal would mean all we would need would be a draw.
Aye.
A draw and a win.
Yeah.
Instead of going for 2 wins. That precise goal that we're talking about could have been the dividing factor of us getting there.
I mean, that's a good thing from your own perspective, going there as a fan as well. You've sampled the elation, the emotions as a player of scoring a goal and being in a great game where you won it. But as a fan, I've never witnessed anything in a long time where the whole nation seemed to be there, and then 60 seconds later, boom.
Well, obviously I missed that, but at half-time, you seen the atmosphere at half-time, the fans were magnificent, and I actually said to my son, he's only 9, and I said to him, this is going to be brilliant if Scotland score, you know what I mean? And so as well we missed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Son wasn't named after anybody in particular, was he?
His granddad.
So, listen, we talked about Harry Kane scores the goal, he's clinical as well, but I think the goal of the night belongs to Gareth Bale, Ruffy. I mean, it's just a simple floated ball, but he takes it on the volley into the roof of the net for Real Madrid. They win at Borussia Dortmund by 3-1.
Well, you think that would win him over, but I mean, I keep reading stories that in the home games they're booing him and they're not happy with what his input is.
Yeah.
But when he scores goals like that, if he is still getting booed whenever he does something wrong, you would be seriously saying to yourself, what's the point?
I know.
You know what I mean? Okay, Ronaldo's there and he's going to get all all the pundits. But if you're chipping in with your own wee bit of special, you would be saying, for goodness sake, go give us a break.
Yeah, might get all the plaudits too, as well as the pundits. but
Plaudits.
Yeah, all the plaudits. Nevertheless, Chic, sometimes I think you can have too many star players. This is the Neymar scenario. You know, he's looking, he's saying to himself, wait a minute, Suarez, Messi, I score the goals that, you know, are the deciding factor in a big game against PSG, but they all take photographs of Messi. You know, Ronaldo's the kingpin there. So you're never going to be the top dog. And you've also got guys like Benzema there, Toni Kroos, Luka Modric. There's a lot of star players there. So, you know, what do you want him to do? Win a game single-handedly to win everybody over?
Well, a pal of mine went over. He did some business and he went over to meet Ronaldo. He knows him all well, whatever his business he's in. And he went over there to Portugal to meet him. And he lives in a complex now over there himself. Ronaldo's got a complex. And my pal Brian was up to and a wee guy interferes and says, no, you can't speak to him now. You know what I mean? You need to go through me to do it, and he had to go through him to do the business he was doing. He lives in a big complex with his family and whatever in Portugal when he's there.
Yeah. Well, you can understand that, Ruffy. I mean, he's just. I think when you get to that level, you know, Pele was able to handle it. How, I'll never know. Cruyff easily able to handle that. Maradona's just became the most intense circus I've ever witnessed for a footballer, you know, who's at the top of his game as a world superstar. I mean, it was just crazy.
Yeah, it is, and that's why, you know, when you see these big stars, some of them can handle it, some of them can't, and unfortunately the ones who can't, you know, fall by the wayside, and there's been a few of them through the years. But yeah, I mean, at that level you're at, you know, it must be very, very difficult handling the media, you know, because they're on your case all the time. Yeah.
Chic, if you sell your best players, you don't usually win games, and that's the case for Monaco. You know, thumped 3-0 at home by Porto.
That's a poor result, but I don't know how they're going to come back for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And of course, who do you think is going to win the Champions League in your mind? Because Man City, I think I tipped Man City to win the Premier League. I'm starting to get worried because I think Manchester United are getting there as well. But
I fancy them for the Premier League.
Man City.
I fancy them for the start for the Premier League, but I fancy PSG. I mean, for the performance at Celtic Park as well. I mean, but Neymar could fester that a wee bit. You know what I mean, with the carry on with the penalty and things like that. The players they'll end up just pushing it to the side. You know what I mean? No one to get involved, but he's that big. You know what I mean? And he's a magnificent player, but he's just a wee naff, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a brilliant word actually. And to be fair, actually, it's funny you saying that. It's the only word that I think my mother ever said. Naff was allowed, Ruffy, because I think it was just a mixture of letters. It wasn't actually a sweary word, you know. So we've done not bad. We're letting him away with that one. It was all right for my mum. It's all right for you. The other one I've got to get your thoughts on, Ruffy, because you, like so many keepers, will look at Loris Karius and give us your thoughts. I mean, Liverpool are coasting against Spartak Moscow, and then suddenly...
Yeah, well, I actually blame the manager. You can't keep chopping and changing your goalkeeper. You're either number one or you're no the number one, and particularly when you get to European football. If somebody's playing all the league games and then you leave him out and all of a sudden you're telling the guy that's sitting on the bench, you know, on you go, you know, this is the big stage, let me see what you can do. You're going to go into the game with 100% confidence, and these things happen. So you pick your number one and you stick by him, you know, and you just persevere with him until obviously he has a right few clangers. But I don't think, I've said it all along, you're never going to get anywhere in European football unless you've got a number one goalie. If you look at all the top teams, the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, they've all got the goalkeeper, Juventus with Buffon, and that's what takes you. He's the guy who takes you to latter stages of cups. That's just my opinion.
No, I mean, it's not wide of the mark. I thought he was central. I thought the free kick was too near him. It should have been a save. You know, Coutinho's goal is something special anyway, but I thought he should have saved it. Just on that point, I mean, you look at it, Brian Clough, Bill Shankly, Sir Matt Busby, Jock Stein, you know, the great managers all live by that code of having a spine right through the team that you could then, the other parts are almost the icing on the cake, Chic. You have a good goalkeeper. You know, I think of Nottingham Forest, you know, Peter Shilton. You've got the two good centre-halves, Larry Lloyd, Kenny Burns. You know, you've got, middle of the park. You know, you can pick from McGovern. You've got O'Neill one side, John Roberts another. You look at Liverpool as well, same situation. Just a solid spine to the team.
Aye, but that's what they do. All the great managers, that's what they do. They start for there and they work their way. Even Rangers had it to a certain extent when they had the Gorum, Goff and
Butcher.
It's fantastic.
Was there a team that you had that you played in that you thought, I'm looking behind me, I see the two centre halves and the goalie, and I think, we're okay. No. Right.
No, seriously, no.
There wasn't one team.
No, well, when I first started, Billy Thompson was a goalie.
Yeah.
And he was round the international, the scene, and he was a good goalie. But offhand, I can't really think.
Yeah, you were in a not a bad Hibs team.
Aye, well, the goalie was the Icelandic boy, Gustafsson or something like that. I can't remember. But again, I can't remember offhand now.
Yeah, and you're not staying regularly in touch with him nowadays, are
No.
you? Ruffy, who was the best two central defenders that you had in front of you? You thought, I feel mega confident.
Well, I was happy with Mick McCarthy at Celtic. I thought Big Mick was my centre half, my kind of centre half. You know, he would go through anything. You know, and I think people were just frightened of him. You know, and he was good. Big Roy as well. You know, I mean, you need people like that. You know, but even at Partick Thistle with young Andy Anderson and Jackie Campbell and Hughie Strachan, a lot of experience, and then going on to Hibs, Gordon Ray.
Gordon Ray, I played with Gordon. Gordon was at Thistle.
And obviously Jackie Mack, who was a good partnership with them. But no, I think you go through stages in teams, you know, when you've got guys you're comfortable in playing in front of you. But I always liked a big centre half, you know, somebody that would just do all my work as well as he did.
I can't believe you haven't mentioned Gordon McQueen. I mean, he was just fantastic.
Gordon McQueen, yeah, that's the squad. I thought you were just talking about club level, but yeah, Gordon McQueen as well. I mean, Gordon McQueen, Martin Buchan, you know.
Talk about Roy Aitken. Roy Aitken when he came to St Mirren, and obviously I was a big Celtic fan and idolised Roy Aitken as a player, but he was a machine. You know what I mean? And I remember in training one time he done me, right, and he done me just below the knee, and it was in training, and it was nagging me. I said, I need to try and get him back, and then I went and I tried to do it, and he just literally bounced off him. Davey just shook his head. Honest to God, he was so strong and so fit. And
I even like the fact that Chic thought, I'm going to have him. That's the type of guy I like, you know. I'm going to have Roy Aitken. You're I was going to say you're a better man than me. After the break, we're going to talk Rangers because Pedro Caixinha has been talking. Of course, it's Hamilton Rangers on Friday night, but there's all talk of dressing room unrest. We are going to hear from the Rangers manager on that and much, much more. You're so close there. Just 1 year out. Agony for you there, Ruffy. Of course, you were trying to... what was the one that really you were trying to go back the way on?
Platini. I was trying to think whether he was in that World Cup or not, but I know he was coming to the end of his career. Did he miss a penalty? Was it him that missed the penalty in the World Cup?
Right over the bar, was it?
Right over the bar.
Yeah,
was that
Brazil.
one, was it?
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't that sure. It was 86 that he missed it. But 84, he was phenomenal. Won the Ballon d'Or 3 times in a row, and of course led France to the European Championship win as well. We're a long way from European Championships. Now we're at Ibrox. Off the back of that defeat to Celtic, there's been all sorts of stories doing the rounds on social media, you know, rumours, people whispering, you know, has Pedro Caixinha lost the dressing room? That type of thing would do your head in, Ruffy, when you hear that about a manager's lost the dressing room. But there are stories, cracks appearing, and there are stories of, you know, the manager absolutely blasting the players, certain individuals as well.
Well, again, I have to say right away, we're not in the dressing room. The first thing I'd be worried about is who's telling the newspapers these stories. It's supposed to be a private meeting after the game. Don't mind having meetings after a game, and obviously a lot of them get out of hand, but somebody's going and running and telling somebody what's actually happening in it. That would be his first problem. He's got to suss that out, who that is. If it's true, some of the stuff, the armband thing,
Well, Kenny Miller never featured in the game against, never really was at the races in the Partick Thistle. Is that fair?
Yes.
And then Kenny Miller isn't in the game to start against Celtic. So clearly, if you put 2 and 2 together, he's had a blast at some of the home-based players. So is it fair to say some of the more experienced ones like Kenny Miller's maybe not flavour of the month with him?
Yeah, but that happens at a club. You're going to have to deal with that. If you're not the flavour for whatever reason, you have to get on with it. I don't think for a minute. I mean, I know you're not saying it's Kenny that's running and telling people, but if you're in a club environment and you're having a meeting and it gets heated, you would like to think that the guys were responsible enough to keep it within there. Whether you agree with, I don't agree with the armband thing. That he fell out with Dorans because he gave thing. I mean, that seems a bit petty, that kind of thing. But if other things that are happening during the game, I also don't agree that he's picking on the Scot. If it is, again, I'm just going by hearsay. If he's picking on the home-based players rather than the foreign players, then he's barking up the wrong tree as far as I'm concerned, because they're all in it together. And I think you would certainly have to look. Sometimes managers have a blindness for the players that they've brought in. They become the favourites, and the people who he hasn't brought in suffer. But again, I hate talking about things like this because I'm not there. I'm only going by. I've seen stories in the papers that haven't been true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they aren't true, but I would rather
comment on it. With all due respect, more often than not, let me explain to you the process. You speak to players, you have a chat with them on the phone, Ruffy, and then you speak to ex-players, and then you speak to players, and then they chat to you and they tell you things, and then all of a sudden you have a piece in the newspaper. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, but you've also been in this scenario. There's a thing called Chinese whispers.
Yeah.
The stories start, and by the time they get round the block, they're worse than what they are. I'm not saying that is the case, but if I was the manager, or anybody at Ibrox, I would be particularly upset about who leaked that thing, and that would be my first thing. Would be who did it.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, you very rarely find out, and if you do, they're usually up for transfer right away. Chick, it's as simple as that.
No, I mean, it's the kind of thing. You might know if the manager calls a meeting after a game and you're all sitting there giving your own view, and then because you don't like it, you go running to the newspaper.
Well, it's the thing.
I don't think they go running to the newspaper. I think there's an overall general chat with people. People have contacts. People have friends.
That's right.
They'll tell things.
Yeah, you've got friends who's journalists, and then you'll tell somebody, and they'll keep it themselves, but then they'll leak it out. But it's no game for you, so you're off the leash in that aspect. But I think he brings a lot on himself. I mean, with the pressure he's put himself under, with saying they're the best team and all that, and it's total nonsense. Then I think he contradicts himself a lot when he's saying that he's never look at the table to the end of the season and all that, and then he's saying, we're 8 points behind Celtic and this and that. But I don't think he's tactically aware as well. No, I mean, I don't think he's got it in that aspect.
Yeah, it's funny you saying that. I mean, Gordon Smith has mentioned he thinks he'll be given to the end of the year, Ruffy. I think he's under pressure at the end of this next month coming. I think, if you've got St Johnstone after Hamilton, you've got Motherwell, Kilmarnock and Hearts, and the month is out. And for me, I've always said to you, I've said to you consistently since the start of the season, October.
I mean, it's unfortunately because of the Europa carry-on, it's every game now. He's going to be judged on every game. I mean, we were at the Partick Thistle game. If he loses this one, he's out. But he wins it and he's in the semi-final. Okay, the Celtic game, they weren't in the game, so I mean that adds on to everything else that people are waiting and happening. Hamilton Accies Friday night, everybody's sitting waiting, to see if that is a win or a loss. If he wins that, he goes on to the next one. And I think unfortunately for him, until he gets a big result, whether it's an Aberdeen or a Hearts or something, he's going to be under pressure in every game that he plays.
Here's the manager's take on the dressing room.
Tell, you ever been in Las Vegas?
Yes.
So what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. So that's the first thing you arrive there and you cross the border. That's what everybody says. I can tell you what I can tell you. I'm not going to tell you what I don't want to tell you because it's private, and I'm not going to discuss with you what I'm discussing in the breakfast with my family. So I'm not going to discuss with you that I have with my team.
I like his style. We're going to Las Vegas, Chic, I'm telling you. It's the place to be. What happens on tour stays on tour. It's as simple as that. Okay, so listen, I've no qualms with having a blast at players. Sometimes if you have a blast at them and you get a negative response, he reckons he's getting a positive response from it in training, that there's nobody throwing the dummy out of the pram yet. It reeks to me at the moment of, memories of Paul Le Guen, this whole situation.
Yeah, I think from the outside looking in, yeah. And the last thing you want is a certain number of players, when you go to these meetings, sitting there going, what a load of rubbish you're talking, and then all of a sudden that goes on to the park, and then team selection starts getting questioned and players being left out start questioning why you're leaving him out and he's playing, without mentioning any names.
Yeah.
But it's a game to game for him. But it shouldn't be the case that you should be judged in every game you're going into. But unfortunately for him, at this precise moment in time, that's what we're all going to do.
Okay. Sometimes in punditry you get a really hard-hitting one and then you get a softie, or somebody who's just in the middle of the road. Ruffy mentioned there, why is he playing and I'm not? He didn't want to mention the name Carlos Pena, so I will. Here's what the manager makes of him.
Decisions and the restriction of one thing that is space and time has nothing to do with fitness. I can show you the data, which we have on a daily basis. And the data basic goes for the total distance covered. That's one point. And you also have the high intensity runs that the players do in each one of the sessions. I can tell you that since long time from now, Carlos is on the top 3 of that list.
Wow, that is a surprise. Okay, so he's fit. He's in the top 3, Chic. Okay, he's not good enough.
No, if he can run, he can't play. There's no point. I don't think he's good enough. There's a few of them in that squad that's not good enough. But he's saying he's in the top 3, but it doesn't tell anything to me.
Is this the top 3 in training?
Yeah.
Right. Well, everybody can look good in training, but you get far into a match scenario and you're looking for him to be the main player, and he certainly didn't look like it at the weekend there, and he didn't certainly have any work rate that I saw at the weekend either, so if he's doing it in training, he better start taking it into games. Yeah,
well, I always gauge by talking to friends of mine who are Rangers fans. I think you get a good gauge. Some who are fanatical, some who are sensible, some not fooled by, don't let their eyes deceive them. This is, they're not happy about it, but this is what Pedro Caixinha said on the progress.
So more or less like 6 months this time, right? And I can be totally clear with you about this. I might leave tomorrow, or I might leave in 10 years' time. But for sure, leaving tomorrow or leaving in 10 years' time, the one that came after me will have the level that we delivered the job in a different position on the direction that we want. So that's what I'm doing.
That is a big call from the Rangers manager. If you see it in 10 years, I'll be gobsmacked.
So I'd be gobsmacked as well. But I think for where he's looking at it is, Rangers look better than what they were before he came there. I think they've got better players. I think they are better, but not at the level I don't think he thinks. I think he's talking about another level. I would just give them the benefit of the doubt that they are a better side. I thought they competed a wee bit better at the weekend than what they did before he came in. So I don't know where he thinks he's getting it right, but there is a massive gap, and it's. I just don't get where he is or where he thinks they are.
Okay, there we are. We got there in the end with Ruffy on that one. Every Old Firm manager is one game away from a crisis. Join us after the break. A year out all the time at the moment in this one. It's been a tough one, Ruffy. Did you have a Ford car?
No, not that one. I had a Ford Fiesta.
Yeah, okay. So, not a Ford car. Okay, right. So, every weekend we pick a championship game of the day on Saturdays at 2 o'clock. If you can join us for 4 hours, we'll bring you the best of the action across all 4 divisions in Scotland, chat, opinion, interviews, and of course the up-to-the-minute reaction to goals hitting at the back of the net. If there's a goal anywhere, we'll tell you about it on STV2 at 2 o'clock. There's no doubt about the championship game of the day on Saturday. It's Dunfermline against Dundee United, Ruffy.
Yeah, massive. I mean, we sit here every Saturday and looking at that division, and it's going to be an absolute cracker for now at the end. Certainly both of them, Dundee United in particular, look as if they're getting a wee bit of form back. Scott McDonald scoring, and with Keaton's up front, there'll be a handful. But I think Dunfermline have proved to everybody this year, particularly at home, they've got players who can win games. And I know we keep looking at attendances in the Premier Division. I think if you look at that game at the weekend, it will have at least an attendance bigger than 3 of the teams in the big league at that game.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think it's a great call from you, because quite simply, United are taking a good set of fans with them because they're winning games. And Dunfermline, I just think that I always consider Dunfermline, one of the big clubs in Scotland.
Aye, massive club. As far as Saturday goes, I fancied Dundee United to win it.
Yeah,
I fancied them. I think we're getting Keaton's back. It's massive things from McDonald. Are starting to come into more fitness and that, and I fancy him as Saturday.
Yeah, sometimes it's all about keeping it tight at the back, and the Dundee United manager Ray McKinnon's been speaking today about how difficult it's been just keeping the defenders fit and also trying to keep clean sheets on it.
Really hard on that, which come together at Falkirk. I think that was an area we had to improve on, but the reason we had to improve because of the nature of the injuries and suspensions and stop-start nature to the team selection in that area. It's not getting easier. Paul Quinn going out injured, Lewis Toshio going out injured. We've only got 4 defenders fit at the club at the moment, so it's not ideal. But they have done well and they're working well and they're understanding how we want to defend, which is a positive. And hopefully they'll take that confidence and that performance level into the game on Saturday.
To be fair, even with the makeshift defence at times, Ruffy, only 1 defeat in 8 for United.
Mm-hmm. No, and they need to continue to be in the top 4. They need to hang on in there. They need to get supporters back on board, and I think they'll do that if they keep winning games. But as we've already discussed on the Saturdays when we were in here, there's no biggie in there now. There's no all the other teams under that who maybe would be saying to themselves, well, that's a big side in here, we'll not get in the top 4. There's other teams now thinking, look, we'll be in that top 4. So I think this is going to be, like Hibs found it difficult to get up. I think Dundee United might find it a bit difficult to go right up because of these teams are going to be about.
Who did you tip?
Falkirk.
Just that.
Yeah, you too.
I think, again, on the Falkirk subject, I think they should have given Peter more time.
Yeah.
I think for what he's done last year and the year before, and just getting rid of him, I just can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm gobsmacked over the last 24 hours. When you think that Ross County have sacked Jim McIntyre as well. Here's what the Dundee United boss, Ray McKinnon, had to say about the 2 sackings.
It's a very tough industry. There's no doubt that every manager works under pressures at every club. Nobody's immune to it. And it's very disappointing to see managers lose their jobs so early in the season. But we all understand that's the business. It's not ideal, but it does happen, and you just have to be thick-skinned and be very focused on what you want to achieve and how you're going to achieve it. But it's never good to see that, and especially 2 good managers like Jim and Peter. And I'm sure they'll be back in football very soon.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. They'll just bide their time, Ruffy, and then eventually somebody is going to snap those 2 managers up.
Yeah, I don't think if there was any jobs come up and they fancied it, they would just have 2 of them would just have to fire their CV in, of the last 2 or 3 years, that what they've achieved at the clubs that they've just left. And if there's owners or board members look at that CV, you would think they'd be right up there with any of the candidates that are floating about.
Yeah, another thing I think, especially in Peter's case, here's what we achieved, here's the budget we achieved it with, here's who we sold on. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just your classic manager. Yep, I'll have you.
Aye. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, Ross County as well. I don't know who they're going to get better to achieve what they've achieved.
Yeah.
I mean, with Jim McIntyre and Doddsy, I mean, they've won the cup, they've kept them, they got in the top 6, but this year's going to be even harder for them. But I don't know who they're going to get to replace him.
Yeah, I was speaking to somebody pretty close to this whole affair up at Ross County, Ruffy, and I just basically said, in my opinion, that's some dafty who's got the chairman's ear. It's the only way you could actually, somebody who hasn't got a clue has been bending his ear.
Yeah, and I've said it all along, you know, that managers who, when they are under pressure, they're not really under pressure until the supporters have a go at the board. You know, if the board are sitting in that director's box, they love going there with their mates or their family or whatever, and they're sitting enjoying the game, and all of a sudden you get people round about them in the stand starting giving them that, you know, and they don't want to hear it, you know, and then sometimes they make bad decisions, and I have to say that these two in particular look bad decisions. I think you're perfectly correct. I think obviously Roy has come out and practically nearly admitted it, that it's a community club. The community's not happy with the way things are going, so I'm going to make a move. Yeah. And that's where he sees it. And the Falkirk one, I just can't get my head around at all.
No, absolutely. Listen, I can't let you go, Chic, without talking about some of your former clubs. Not all of them, some of them. Hibs, can they go to Celtic Park and finally be the team that defeats Celtic and ends this run, which is now 57 unbeaten domestically?
Lenny's got them gone well. I mean, he's installed a bit of steel in them, but I can't see them going to Celtic Park and getting the result. Although Lenny will get a tremendous ovation for the fans, but I just can't see Hibs being the team to do it. Yeah.
Do you still get a good feedback from Hibs fans who look back on that wonderful day? You mean it was an absolute cracker. I mean, obviously everybody talks about Larsson giving the ball away, but I think they're underselling your part, and he still had to score.
Aye, well, still, I went out with a journalist a couple of weeks ago, and it was 20 years today, and took me out for dinner and that, and they were talking about it, but it was just one of the things, and that was a good goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you pay or did he pay?
Oh, he paid.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to make sure it was a guy.
Did you tell him you wish you hadn't scored?
The last time Hibs actually defeated Celtic was the 29th of December 2012 by a 1-0 at Easter Road. Do you know who scored?
2012.
Yeah. No, I think they've just put that up to throw you off the set. No, it was from the actual game, that picture there. But the last time, 2012, it was Lee Griffiths. Oh. There you have it.
He's fantastic. He's fantastic.
Okay, from Hibs and their potential to win at Celtic Park. What do you make of Partick Thistle? I mean, high praise for Alan Archibald and Scott Patterson. Got a lot of time for them. 1 win in 9 though, since August.
That's a good thing. We're talking about the Housty and Jim getting sacked there. And the board have stuck by Archie, and he'd done brilliant last year. But the fixtures they've had at the start of the season, they've been tough. You know what I mean? They've been tough, and they've been unlucky losing late goals. But they'll be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll and as far as the board concerned, his job's safe there, no problem.
Yeah, I think this next batch is where Alan Archibald will come into his own, Ruffy, because it's Motherwell, Kilmarnock, Dundee and Hamilton. That's where he knows the battle is for Thistle. It
has to be this month, because if you flick on your computer there and see what the games are in the next month, you'll see that this is how important these games are, that they need to pick up points, because November is a horrendous fixture list for them. And I'm sure they will. I like Chic. I like the way they're playing football. They've had hard games, and I think they're just nearly turning the corner.
Yeah, I must apologise to all the Thistle fans who watch the programme, and Dr. Doom here has just ruined your November for you and Christmas as well, because of your fixture list.
Well, go on, tell us what it is then.
No, I'm not going to bother. No, you've ruined it for them already. Nobody wants to buy a short-term season ticket because you've ruined it for them. No. Listen, I'm going to. Well, that's the other thing. My producer's saying doesn't matter who they're playing. Ruffy still tips Thistle to win 1-0. Real Madrid. I think Jags can edge it. Right, I'm going to give you the last thing before you go, guys. Here's the top scorers in the Premier League. Which one is the best in your mind? If you have a look at this graphic, that's where they're going at the moment. Aguero, Lukaku, Morata, Sterling, Vardy and Kane. We've talked about the golden boy. Which one would you take in your side, Chic?
Lukaku.
Yeah.
I take Aguero.
Yeah, I'd take Aguero all day long. I just think he's absolutely top drawer. But the big man knows he's young, can sell him on, can get another. It's another. If Lukaku was related to Chic, there's another 5 or 6 transfers ahead for him, and he's only 24. Anyway, listen, I never ever tire of saying thanks to Chic Charnley for coming on the programme. It's always absolutely top drawer. Good bit of banter. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation with him on the programme tonight. We will have him back on almost certainly, and if you do see him in a taxi, the banter is sensational as well, let me tell you. But as ever, it's 1.5 meters. Okay, on that note, goodbye. Thanks for watching.